Hello and welcome to the Just Interesting podcast, the show that's not interesting, not too interesting, but just interesting enough. As you can see, we are all operating remotely with this week's episode. Something to do with a virus going around. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I hope you're doing okay. Robin, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing well, thank you, Alex. Surviving
Good.
So far, enjoying being at home. Missing you, Go. It's nice to be able to be in your presence and touch you.
Okay, that's good to know. Good to know. Martin, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. Just spending the time just chilling out. I think we don't have enough time to chill out in our lives, so it's definitely been an experience, and I'm sure that I'll feel differently in a few weeks' time. But for now, all good. Yeah.
Yeah, isolation is pretty much my lifestyle choice as is. So I haven't really got
what change?
Yeah, there hasn't been much change, but I mean, this is weird. This is the first time for us doing this kind of thing.
It is.
Hopefully it's okay for you guys at home. Hopefully you can understand. But yeah.
Yeah, hopefully this sounds good, and hopefully those of you watching this on YouTube, our webcams are pretty enough for it. It's odd, isn't it? Because I feel like it's like the standard thing that lots of podcasters do, remote casting. But we kind of we've always tried to do it in person. This is our first time, and
yeah, it's true. I think maybe we'll see at the end of this, but it tends to just seem like it's a little bit easier in terms of chemistry to be on the same page when we're all together. But we'll see.
Yeah, and with that in mind, what have we learned this week? That is hopefully just interesting. Do you guys have any interesting facts of the week?
I do. I learned a new word this week. A new word that I kind of feel like more people should know, but hopefully not many people know. So the word is Eurolagnia.
The word is what?
Okay. Eurolagnia. So it's Urolagnia. You not heard that before?
Right.
Yeah, I never heard this before. And
No, don't know that one.
It is a paraphilia, it's a scientific term, which is Eurolagnia, is a tendency to derive sexual pleasure from the sight or thought of urination.
I'm shaking my head now. I know you guys can't see, but I'm shaking my head.
Yeah,
of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Of course, he'd bring that fact with you, Robin.
I just thought.
Oh, I learned a new word this week. Yeah, you already knew that one.
I didn't know that one.
Where did you learn that from?
I learned it from the BBFC website, the
don't want to know
British
what
Board of Film Classification, because as you do,
Robin's got the receipts.
got the receipt. I like to check out the certifications for new movies coming out, and there was a new movie. I think it's a Swedish film or something, and so I clicked on it, and the BBFC said it contains Eurolagnia, and I was like, what is that? So I looked it up, and I like the fact that the British Board of Film Classification was too embarrassed to say what it was, because normally they're like contains shootings, stabbings, gore, one man gets his intestines ripped out, in a horror movie. But in this one, it was like Eurolagnia, because it just couldn't quite bring themselves to describe what was going on screen.
Yeah, because it's quite specific, isn't it, when they do that? Because on the back of the box, it contains mild profanity, isn't it?
Yeah,
or
mild peril. Yeah.
Whereas they go into details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to get over their embarrassment, they made a word for it.
Well, they found the word for it. Word. Yeah. Although I hadn't thought about that. What if the person writing up that little bit of copy text for the BBFC website was like, I'm going to Google the word for this. And their work history is a bit dodgy now.
Or they have actually made up the word, and they're like, I've always wanted to have a word in the English dictionary. So
here it is.
Here it is.
Done it. Trademark. Put that on your t-shirt. No one will know what it means.
Put that on your CV.
So what did you learn?
Well, this week, I learned about... Well, you might already know this. In fact, I know you're a big movie buff, Robin, but I learned why trailers are actually called trailers.
Oh, I think I already know this. Not to brag.
Yeah, so, it sounds obvious, but I'd never really thought about it. Like, trailers, you show them before a film for upcoming movies that are coming out, adverts as well. But no, trailers initially were shown after the film, hence trailing the film. Led to them being called trailers. But of course, what do people do when they finish a
They
film?
leave. Yeah,
They bugger off, don't they? They don't hang around.
Yeah.
They don't want to watch adverts after the film, unless it's a Marvel film
Yeah.
where you have to wait 15 minutes through credits to get Captain America winking at you.
It's never worth it, is it? It's never worth waiting for the after credit scene.
Never.
Oh, that's
never.
sacrilege.
So that's pretty much it. So
Yeah.
Nice.
the first trailer shown the first trailer shown in an American film theatre was in November 1913.
1913.
When the advertising manager.
That early.
13,
That is
yeah,
surprising.
a long time
Wow.
ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so actually, this was a trailer for a musical called The Pleasure Seekers, opening at a theatre on Broadway. So it wasn't even for another movie.
Because The Pleasure Seekers
Did
is
it-
quite a
Yeah.
popular play, actually. I think it might still be on Broadway, isn't it?
It
That's
may
really
well
funny.
be, yeah. It's a long. It was
Because that
definitely,
was when silent film was all they had. They didn't have sound technology then. So you're advertising a musical in a silent trailer.
Yeah.
That's quite funny.
I like
That's
I like to think that trailer as well still had that like modern trailer tendencies, or like so it had that like the movie trailer voice as well, just advertising that play in a world.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of
But it's
thing.
just title cards.
The
Just
black-
in a world.
Yeah, exactly.
Dot.
So Ireland is kind of in keeping with what's going on in the world at the moment with diseases and germs and that kind of thing. But do you guys know when the idea of germs were first put forward?
Isn't
Because it's quite interesting
Ooh.
how old the idea of germs goes back. Well, the idea of germs apparently was first hypothesized more than 2,000 years ago by a man named Marcus Terentius Varro, who was a Roman scholar. And he was the director at the Imperial Library at Rome and the author of a book on agriculture. And he basically warned against locating homesteads near swamps because there are bred certain minute creatures which cannot be seen by the eyes, which float in the air and enter the body through the mouth and nose, and there cause serious diseases. How mad is that? That he basically got it completely right thousands of years ago.
yeah.
that is incredible.
Well, there's a book I'm reading actually that goes into a little bit about this, and yeah, talking about the draining of the swamps back then, but them not knowing why they were doing it. But yeah, so it's a similar kind of thing.
Yeah, and then
I think.
germs.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then, germs officially were discovered, nearly 2,000 years later, like 1,900 years later after that. So
Yeah.
credit to him.
Yeah.
You bloody smashed it, mate.
Because in terms of describing what germs are, yeah, he's nailed it. That is literally a germ. Well done, sir. I imagine,
Yeah.
or rather I suspect, he may have been referring to kind of mythological creatures. Maybe. I can't help but wonder if he wasn't really thinking of microbes and like single-celled organisms. He was just thinking about, these tiny little gremlins. You can't see them. You can't see them. But they're there.
Yeah.
Look, he's crawling into your
Yeah.
ear right now. And we're like, mad Varro. He's talking about little goblins making us ill. What's he talking about?
That's the thing. We're kind of saying like, he must have been a genius so far ahead of his time. But yeah, he could have just had some kind of mental problem. He was hallucinating these invisible creatures that were crawling into people's mouths and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was right, though, technically. Yeah.
Maybe.
He was right. Yeah. So fair enough. But yeah, that's what I learned this week, where germs were first originated, where the idea of them first came from.
A weird news story that I discovered related to coronavirus this week, but it's not really the emphasis on coronavirus. But as you can imagine, as we all can imagine, I'm sure, coronavirus has been so disruptive to ordinary life around the world. Lots and lots of people in affected countries have been told to stay home. And in China,
Right, yeah.
where the outbreak began, everybody's going home and staying in, even farmers in the middle of the countryside. And there's a farm in Yunnan province in southern China where this week in the news, 14 elephants broke into this farm village because all the humans, there was no one around. So the elephants were just like, there's an empty field. We'll just crash through the fence, go into the farm. And they're just looking for food. And they came across some water and they drank it all up. But it wasn't water. It was 30 litres of corn wine.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they got drunk, and they found 2 of the elephants passed out in a tea garden. There's a photo of it online.
Oh wow!
Were they okay? The elephants?
I think
did they make a full recovery.
I think they were fine.
They left some embarrassing voicemails, but otherwise they were unharmed. They were okay.
How much can an elephant take in terms of if it to be alcohol poisoning? I imagine quite a lot. Like 30 litres is a lot, but it's an elephant.
It is. That's what surprised me. And if there's 14 of them drinking 30 litres between them, you think, oh, that's all right. So I'm guessing these 2 guys who passed out drank a little bit more than the others. But apparently in 1984 there was a study, of course there was, into inebriation in elephants. I love this, a scientific study. How do you justify the funding for that? And it was elephants have proportionally less blood inside them than humans do. Because I guess
right,
so they're really big, I
okay.
guess. So they actually need less alcohol than you would think to get drunk, because although they're huge, the proportion of their body that's blood is less. So it takes about
bloody lightweights.
Yeah. So to start acting drunk, it takes apparently about 10 litres of alcohol at 7% volume. But this is corn wine, so it's going to be about 14, 15%,
strong.
maybe as high as 20%.
Oh, really?
Because it's home-brewed wine, basically, made from corn. So I guess...
Do you think...
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they would have known, or not known it was alcoholic, obviously, but they would have been like, oh, this isn't water. Should we stop drinking it? Nah, let's keep going. What was the... Do you think that they can tell
they would have
we can still
actually
drink
quite
this.
liked it.
Presumably they did, yeah.
Because there's the footage, I can't remember which program it was on, it was on Planet Earth or one of those, where there's these groups of monkeys in the Caribbean, you might have seen it, that have taken to stealing the locals' drinks, and they're just like drunk all the time. They're just rocking around in the Caribbean, drinking pina coladas, getting smashed up, having a great time.
If I'm ever reincarnated, that's what I want to be. I want to be a monkey.
A drunk monkey.
Drunk monkey, yeah.
Nice. Of course, some of them, like, it was crazy, they acted pretty much like humans would. Some of them were funny, some of them were just chilled out, and others were like getting aggressive. It was like exactly the same character traits.
Wow.
And koalas are drunk all the time, aren't they?
Well, they sleep long enough.
So the eucalyptus is alcoholic or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So the koalas are drunk all the time.
Yeah, I think that's why they're so
that
sleepy.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. That explains a lot, he says. Traumatic memories from his past coming into play.
Well, I have a news story relating to animals as well. And in that kind of part of the world, I guess, where koalas are, not in Australia, but New Zealand, there's a story of a surfer who fought off a great white shark by punching it in the face.
What?
So this was Nick Minogue, who lives in Auckland, New Zealand.
As in Kylie Minogue.
He was bitten. I don't know if there's any relation, but yeah.
Same surname, yeah.
Same surname. But yeah, he was bitten by a shark at a Pauanai beach in the country's Coromandel region. I've definitely butchered those names. I'm very sorry.
Sounds right to me.
So he was apparently just paddling along, and he got, and then he noticed he got hit on the side of his elbow and forearm by something. And then by the time he realized what was going on, its teeth were latched onto the front section of his surfboard. And then he just remembered hearing that sharks apparently don't like being punched in the nose or the eye. So
who does?
So he shouted at it and told it to fuck off. And then he went to punch it in the eye and missed.
He missed.
He missed, yeah. And then he pulled his fist back and shouted "fuck off" again, and got it right smack bang in the eye.
I love that he shouted at the shark.
I love that. That just makes it so much more. Yeah, fuck off. Yeah,
fuck off, mate.
Maybe the shark just wanted to say hello, and then that was like, okay, you clearly don't want to.
Just want to go on the surfboard, mate.
Yeah, exactly. But then, after those two punches, it dislodged from the board and
so it did work.
Swam away. It worked, yeah.
Oh.
That's cool. You know that video, the famous one of the guy punching that kangaroo in the face? He's like,
yeah.
The kangaroo is going up to his dog. It's a similar kind of thing, just telling it to fuck off and punching it in the face.
Yeah.
It works.
And the kangaroo
It works.
just stood there completely,
Like,
what just
shocked.
happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably a similar kind of thing.
That kangaroo was thinking, no one in the history of Australia has ever punched a kangaroo in the face. What have you just done?
It's weird. Like, I think that's probably more dangerous than great white sharks as well. Like, kangaroos are, they could mess you up. Like, that was
More dangerous,
That
do you reckon?
that was really dangerous. What that guy did when he went and punched the kangaroo in the face.
Can't they,
definitely.
like, their kicks, aren't they so powerful that
Yeah.
they can, like,
I don't
rip
know.
your
Actually, I don't know
intestines
how
open?
many.
Isn't that a thing?
Do kangaroos cause many
yeah.
many injuries in Australia or anything? Do they attack people that often?
I don't know.
I imagine defensively, maybe. I don't think they're that aggressive, are they? In terms of just, I don't know. Any Australians listening?
Yeah,
maybe.
Please
maybe
let us
not.
know.
Let
Tell
us
us
know.
on Twitter. You can contact us at @jinterestingyt, which is our channel page on Twitter, or contact us individually. I'm at alltimерobin.
I'm at All Time Martin.
And I'm at Alex Brown ATC.
Woo!
I think we did well there because there was no cues for us to speak.
No, we just had
So,
to patiently wait. It's because we're so professional. We know what we're doing.
Of course. So I've also got a new story about animals, but it's slightly different.
Oh, nice. This wasn't planned or anything, was it? We just...
No. Apparently, in a time of crisis, the only kind of light relief is animals. Makes sense. So, this one is actually about a debt that that Chad owes to Angola. So, Chad owe Angola £82 million.
Right.
And so, instead of paying them outright in cash, what they're doing is paying them in cattle.
Fair enough.
They're paying £82 million in cattle. So they're going to receive 75,000 cattle over 10 years.
Wow.
Which is about $1,300 per animal. So Angola they've been struggling a little bit with drought, and so a lot of their tribes people have lost cattle to it. So it's kind of one of the most valuable things that they could get as a result. It's just this kind of thing just hasn't really been done before, which is mad. And so you look at Angola, and they have a lot of oil, but because the droughts have hit them, and of course the civil war, they had a civil war that happened for over 25 years. They've just been struggling really, really badly in terms of agriculture. So it seems like this, could be the way forward. And plus, I guess with a civil war, you're going to have issues with stability of currency and stuff like that. So seems like a pretty good way of paying.
Worldwide at the moment, I feel like this kind of thing, trading goods, bartering almost, is probably going to become more prevalent and maybe more useful than pure hard cash.
Yeah. No, true. Toilet paper. A six pack of toilet roll for a sheep, please.
Yeah. I've been collecting bottle caps this whole time for when the apocalypse hits, and now the currency is toilet paper. Misjudged that massively.
I've been collecting school vouchers, the ones where you can collect 10,000, you get a pencil sharpener. That was my currency, and that's worthless.
I've been hoarding Monopoly money. Don't even have a Monopoly game.
Don't you know someone, Robin, that collects Monopolies?
I do. I know someone whose grandson collects Monopoly. No, their son collects Monopoly, and she was complaining how now that he's grown up, he lives. I think he lives in Germany or somewhere, not in Britain. And his old bedroom in her house is just full of Monopoly games, and he insists. I think he sends her the money whenever there's a new edition of Monopoly. He sends her the money to go buy one, because
whenever there's a new edition,
every time. And because he lives in a foreign country as well,
dear.
like he visits occasionally, but these things are still in their shrink wrapping. I guess, he may just be an enthusiast, or he may be planning for a time when Monopoly is the game, the one thing that everybody wants, and he's got all these mint conditions. Who knows?
Yeah.
Monopoly is not cheap to buy.
Yeah.
It's quite expensive for what it is. Yeah.
But also, Monopoly does local editions and stuff. Does he have all the local editions? How many does he have?
She was complaining. That's the problem. That's why he sends her out to go.
Yeah. Does he have Swanage Monopoly?
I'll have to get in touch and ask. Oh dear. But I mean, preparing for the apocalypse is a big thing, right?
Massive.
It is a big thing. I feel a segue
It
coming.
is
Oh, you
indeed.
feel a segue coming on? What gave you that impression?
So that brings us neatly, thank you, Robin, onto our question of the week, which this week we wanted to discuss: were the preppers right all along? These people who've been preparing for the apocalypse for months, if not years, and have stocked up on supplies, were they right to do that? They don't seem that mad now, do they?
No, they don't.
No.
I mean, they're probably in a much more advantageous position than the rest of us are, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, especially when you look at the supermarkets and they're all cleared out. Yeah.
They probably got all the tinned foods and stuff, but I wonder how much toilet roll they've actually got. They probably didn't think that would be the first to go.
It'd be interesting to see how this develops over the next few months, because at the moment it doesn't necessarily seem like... It seems like there are shortages, but the supply chains haven't broken down yet. But it's got to be that when certain manufacturing companies lose staff as a result of this, which they inevitably will, and there's kind of people trying to be self-isolating from each other as a result, then there could be some issues. But at the moment, it seems like there might not be everything you want, but there's at least enough to get by.
And also, it's weird. It's weird that people focused on like the toilet roll and stuff, given that it's actually, it's not essential, is it? Like, it's not, it's not the thing that you desperately need to survive.
It's not it's not survival.
No.
It's not a survival must. Important, but not a survival
I mean,
must.
the other day, the collective of supermarkets in Britain, I can't remember what they're called, but like the representative business board for supermarkets, they issued a statement saying that they were asking all their suppliers to reduce the number of items that they were manufacturing. Yeah, so they used the example of like Tesco said they stock like 60 different types of sausages. So they said, just focus on a few, which will obviously have an economic impact, but that might be a potential solution to the problem, or they might be anticipating the problem that you've just described, Martin, which is they're saying, we're going to focus on producing a few of the essential goods instead of making everything that they were making before, which includes 100 varieties of the same thing, But I was wondering about this earlier in the week, actually, because the movement of prepping is called survivalism. And it's always fascinated me. But I was thinking, like, what makes you a prepper? Because technically, are we all now preppers? Just by what's happened in the last week?
Well, I guess if you haven't prepped, then probably not.
Okay. But you got these people who are stockpiling, and stockpiling is definitely like a major characteristic of a prepper, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But what separates the preppers from people like us who are like some people who do a monthly shop? So they buy everything they need all at once, and maybe a little bit more. But it's only planned to keep them going for the next month or month and a half. But they're still prepping. So,
Do you think that maybe the difference is that preppers are they're preparing for a disaster to hit, whereas if you're buying a monthly shop, you're just buying your monthly shop. Like you fully expect to go back the next month. Whereas preppers are anticipating like what happens if they can't go to the shop for a year or two, or if civilization breaks down completely.
That's it. Well, I found actually an interesting article from January, so before this really became into the public consciousness, and this article doesn't actually mention coronavirus or COVID-19 at all. Okay. So it's kind of a before this all kicked off properly article. And the one that this guy says, when asked the question, what should the average Brit be doing to prep, so British person, and he says the simple one, the average Brit needs to think. So he says he's not suggesting that they're thick. What he's suggesting is that they should think about what happens if, say, the power goes off or the water just doesn't come out the tap. So the difference between your standard person and a prepper, in his view, is just having that consciousness of, okay, in each different scenario, what would I do to have a backup plan, to have a second choice?
Right. Yeah, that sounds like a significant difference between what people are doing now and what preppers are doing.
Yeah, very true. Have you guys watched the Netflix one about preppers, the show?
No.
I haven't.
No.
I watched like a couple of episodes. It's good, but it is actually pretty funny because a lot of these people have gone to some extreme lengths, and they do like dry runs. So in case this scenario happens, in case that scenario happens, and one of the guys, he crawled from outside through the undergrowth up into his house and scared the shit out of his wife and kids just to prove the point that someone could break in at any time. It's just so funny to watch. He was like, you're laughing, but this was just a drill. But if that happened, you wouldn't have been prepared.
Wow.
And he got really serious about it.
I mean,
yeah. He's got a point.
He does have a point, but it must be so stressful living like that, always preparing for an inevitable disaster, like having to think like constantly if what happens in every single scenario. Like, that must be so stressful living that way. But having said that, now that we're getting a tiny taste of what their disaster scenario might look like. It's already worrying. Like most people, people are panic buying toilet roll and stuff.
It seems like most people,
and also the thought of what happens.
The primary concern wasn't necessarily about a pandemic. So in this particular article, they said what are his biggest concerns about a disaster scenario, and his one, he was looking at power outages and things like that. So not being able to go down to the supermarket because it's shut because there's no power, and then people getting desperate because there isn't food as a result in terms of food spoiling and not having electricity to cook and stuff like that. So maybe something like this, the coronavirus, wasn't on everyone's radar, but being a good prepper, you'd still be able to cope with this regardless of what your thought of most common disaster scenario would be.
See, that's very interesting because to me that sounds like a fairly minor thing to be paranoid about. I mean, power outages are obviously quite significant because most people's heating and certainly all their entertainment and a lot of their livelihoods and, like you said, their food storage and the ability to acquire food depends on there being power to keep the shops open and to keep their houses and their heating going. But at the same time, I feel like a power outage, for me to want to prep for that in the way that I'm thinking preppers typically are, which is, months and months of worth of food and bunkers and shelters built in their back gardens and stockpiling on water and things like that. I feel like a power outage, that's not a problem I would anticipate being so significant that I'd need to prep for. Because, as long as you've got warm clothes and you've got some tinned food, you can always acquire more tinned food, right?
I guess if power was off, it would close down the machinery of production for that kind of tinned food or production of certain waters, or maybe even water sanitization and stuff like that could go down with it.
But for me, that's the kind of thing that I don't have an answer to. If the water just stopped working, I have no idea how to deal with that. I guess go and try and get as much bottled water as possible for the time being, and then. But then everyone would be trying that, so I don't know. It would just be luck, I guess. Put out some rain barrels. Yeah, and then a coal filter you can use, can't you? Or some reverse osmosis machine.
Osmosis.
I think there's a few different things you can do.
I feel
to get the impurities out.
I mean, I agree with you both. I'll be completely unprepared, but particularly I feel like people like us living in cities, we would be the first people to die, right? because like you're in a block of flats. How on earth are you getting hold of water if it's not through the tap? If you're a prepper, how do you even have the storage space living in a city to stockpile?
That's true.
Yeah, they kind of go against each other, don't they? Living in a city.
Yeah, you can't be a prepper and live in a city, right?
Didn't quite work. Yeah.
What do you think would have to happen for society to completely break down? Are we close to that level now, or at what point does it happen? Do you think? What's the tipping point with coronavirus, with society completely breaking down?
I think it's hard not
to. Big question.
It's a very big question. I'm personally struggling to imagine a situation where, if coronavirus infects a significant proportion, and it easily could, of the people who work in retail supply, that in particular, but also any public service, and especially health services, and maybe as well if it affected the people who work in manufacturing, like you said, people who make the food. if those areas are affected significantly by coronavirus, I don't see how society would function, because we'd run out of food, we wouldn't have the people to deliver the food, and we wouldn't have the public health service personnel to deal with the people who've been infected in the other supply areas.
Imagine as well, you remember, I think, what was it last year? There was that hack on the NHS, and the computer systems went down. Imagine if that kind of thing happened right now, like, or in a couple of weeks' time. That would be absolutely.
Oh, thanks, Alex. You just made me terrified.
Yeah.
You got
Putin's
there watching the West, thinking, "Oh, now is the time to strike."
I think part of it is if the health service gets overburdened too much, and they stop being able to treat new people who've become infected. That's when panic then sets in, and panic causes that breakdown.
Yeah.
Has this changed your guys' mind about preppers though? Like, I think a lot of people before were skeptical or even mocking. Do you think that going forward after this, if we all get through it, that you'll have a few extra bottles of hand sanitizer floating around?
That's a good question.
Toilet rolls.
I think
maybe an allotment plot.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think in fairness to preppers, like the chance that the kind of people mocking them are always taking the risk that nothing bad is going to happen, and they're assuming that they would never need their prepped supplies. But yeah, I mean, this kind of scenario has immediately shown that, yeah, actually, it's the benefits are there for prepping if you have the ability to. I've got a story here from there's several preppers basically that are feeling vindicated. So Brian Corbell has apparently been teased by all of his co-workers, friends and relatives who said he was nuts for stockpiling months of food, water and other supplies for disaster. But now apparently all of them they're not joking about it anymore.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, and there's loads of examples of this, of people who just kind of feel vindicated and have been laughed at for years about prepping for apocalypses. There's someone named Christian Schauf who is an entrepreneur in Wisconsin, and he actually sells $350 72 survival system packs. They're these survival backpacks that have 35 pieces of survival equipment in them.
Wow.
Maybe he's making a mint.
Maybe that kind of thing is gonna blow up more, because I know there was another one I saw where it's like a zombie survival pack that you can buy.
Presumably that's
a
joke's name, right? People aren't really preparing for the zombie apocalypse, are they?
If you can buy backpacks that you can just pick up and go if a zombie apocalypse happens. So it's got like a machete and other stuff. Stuff in there, essentials.
Yeah.
I love the idea of picking up and go. It's like, I could just imagine a lot of these preppers, as soon as there was the first death, they're like, right, we're down in the bunker. It's like, Dad, the house is fine at the moment. Like, no one's going to attack. Like, no, we're going into the bunker. They've already been there for like 2.5 months.
Yeah.
As soon as the first cases in China came about. Eating food from 1986.
It's like that bit in Peep Show when Mark tries to ration the chocolate bars. It's like, you've been waiting for the first chance to ration with me.
Yeah. I think that's it. That's you asked the question, has my mind changed about preppers? And to be honest, I've always respected preppers' behaviour. I think it's I understand where they're coming from, and I've always acknowledged, as you just said, Alex, that come the apocalypse, the preppers are definitely in a much better situation than I am. But I think that Peep Show sketch kind of relates to my personal view, which is just because you're definitely stockpiling and preparing for something that could happen, and if it happens, you're definitely going to be better off than everybody else, doesn't mean you're wrong to do it. But it does mean that maybe you're spending too much energy on the wrong thing when you could be living a normal life.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's not just it's obviously a hobby as well, right?
Yeah.
People don't just do it.
Yeah.
People do it because it's part of a community and it makes them feel safe and secure in themselves, not necessarily because they think anything's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. And they're not harming anybody by preparing for this. In fact, they're only going to help people when the time comes.
Do you think there's part of it is also like, because they've invested so much time and energy into prepping and making sure everything's ready, do you think there's this kind of tiny part of them that wants it to happen? Like this tiny part of it
spent all the money
that wants to actually make use of this, and
Yeah.
they're actually kind of excited for the collapse and breakdown of society, so that they can not only be vindicated but also then put to use all the things that they've been practicing for years.
Oh yeah, I've got the same feeling. I have a Leatherman, one of those all-in-one tools, and whenever something needs doing, usually it's just a screw that needs screwing in. I'm like, aha, I have the tool for the job. I get excited when that happens, so I imagine they're getting excited too.
Oh, there'll be a lot of excitement within the communities for sure.
But at the same time, there was a story in the week about in America, obviously in America, after the toilet paper. Then one of the things that people were queuing up for and ransacking shops for was guns and ammo.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And I immediately that plays into a negative stereotype of survivalists and preppers, and like it's probably not representative of everybody, but definitely like the stereotypical prepper is a middle-aged bearded man, white male, in the mountains in America, who's got a shed load of guns. And he's just waiting for the day when he has to defend his property and everything he's stockpiled over the years.
They look at like raiders in Mad Max
Yes.
and think, that's me. That's me to a T. They're waiting for society to break down so they can start raiding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. Is it? Yeah, you'd expect that most of them already have a plethora of guns already.
Probably.
Especially if you're a prepper. But yeah, interesting times we live in for sure.
So, shall we circle back to the question? Were they right all along? What do we think?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think the most, you've kind of raised the point that stuck with me, Robin. A broken clock is still right twice a day. Sure, they were right, but were they right to really focus on it for this long?
Yeah, I'd say to a point, but are we currently in a situation where a lot of the stuff that they've prepared for will be utilised? Probably not.
No.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, because the true prepper is prepared for the cataclysm, for the end of the world, and unless coronavirus is going to be a lot worse than anybody can anticipate, we're not there yet.
But then, hey, we're only in
Not
month
yet.
3 of 2020, so who knows? We've faced nearly World War III. We've got Australia bushfires like on fire in February, and now we've got coronavirus. What's going to happen
We've
next?
had
floods.
locusts. We've had loads of flooding.
Oh yeah,
Locusts.
We've had
loads of
plague
flooding,
locusts.
at least in the UK, and all the locusts in Africa that's just happened. So
It's getting pretty biblical.
it is.
April is going to be Great Depression. Watch this space. We've got comic's going to hit and wipe us out sometime in May. And if that doesn't kill us off, then I'm sure we've got Godzilla in the summer.
I was about to say, like, next
Coming
thing is
to
the
kill us.
dinosaurs are going to come back.
Yeah.
Like, suddenly this old
Okay.
guy from a tropical island says, "By the way, everyone, I've been secretly making dinosaurs for the last 2 decades, and they've escaped. I'm really sorry."
It's just suddenly around the world, the Jurassic Park theme music just starts playing.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. What the hell is that?
And then at the end of the year, the scientists revert the simulation back to like 2012 or something.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what could have happened.
Yeah.
that was it.
Actually, what in 2012 would have Coney? It's all Coney 2012.
Oh yeah.
If Coney 2012 wasn't such a flop, then none of this would have happened.
That's the takeaway from
That's the takeaway.
from this discussion.
Oh dear. Oh,
Just blame Coney 2012 for flopping for all of our problems in 2020.
well, I would love to
Oh,
know what our listeners think and what our viewers think. So if you're watching us on YouTube, there should be a poll in the corner. Do you think the preppers were right all along? Yes or no? And if you're listening to us on any of the many podcast platforms that there are, just give us a tweet at JInterestingYT.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Super.
So, do you guys fancy a quiz?
Oh yeah.
But before we get started with the quiz, we just wanted to thank our new Patreons from March. Thank you so much for everyone who's supporting us on Patreon. You are really helping us keep this podcast going. So yeah, we just wanted to thank the new supporters. So we'd like to thank Neil Martin. Thank you, Neil. Tina, thank you. Callum Bickley, thank you very much. Jackie, thanks for your pledge. Stir2389, Kenny Kostick, Brock Huseman, Kugel, Ash Heron, Harry Potter. Harry Potter is supporting the podcast, so thank you, Harry Potter, and Wakozy. Thank you very much for all of our patrons from March. And thank you to everyone who's supporting us on Patreon. And with that, let's keep going. So, gentlemen, welcome to this week's quiz. Obviously, this is going to be tricky doing this remotely, but we're going to give it a go. Hopefully, it will work out well. Let's hear your buzzers. Well, actually, as always, I'll just explain it for people who may not know already. But there's 10 questions plus a bonus question, general knowledge. Let's hear your buzzers. Robin? Wow, that actually made me jump.
That's the classic Wilhelm scream.
Nice. Martin, what's your buzzer?
Delia Smith, drunk at half-time at a football game.
What was she yelling at?
Famous.
I can't remember.
What was she yelling at? She was yelling at the Norwich City supporters, the club she supports,
right?
To make more noise. And she's a very polite family TV chef.
She's so prim and proper the rest of the time. It's so weird to hear her like that.
It's quite remarkable. Quite remarkable. Even to this day.
Oh dear.
Okay. Well, Robin, you obviously have a lot to play for. You are on quite a winning streak.
Yeah.
You've won all of your quizzes, 6 quizzes.
Thank you.
You've won.
Madness.
Can Martin finally take you down? Because obviously I can't. I've lost every single one.
I know you wrote the quiz. Okay. Have you fixed this quiz against me?
Definitely not. No. There's no rugby questions in this week's quiz though. So
what?
I'll tell you that.
No, I have no excuse.
Well, there's no sport, I guess, in general.
Okay. Question 1. You guys ready?
Yep,
you both ready?
Yep.
Good to go.
Which 1968 film is partially based on the novel Sentinel by Arthur C. Clarke?
Oh, sorry. I pressed it by mistake.
I think Robin was in there. If that was a mistake.
Okay.
If Martin's was a mistake, then I'm going to go with 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, it was 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know it. I was going to guess Dr. Feelgood.
Oh,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Have you read?
But that would be wrong.
Have you read that, Robin? Sentinel?
I haven't. What I have read is the novelization of the film 2001: A Space Odyssey. I've never read Sentinel, so yeah, if that's out there, I should seek it out. Have either of you read it?
I haven't. No. No, I haven't read any of it. So I've seen the film though.
Film's great, isn't it?
Anyway, question 2. A labiophilist collects what type of bottles?
What?
So they collect bottles.
Yeah.
A labiophilist.
How's that spelled?
LABEORPHILIST.
Wow.
Labiophilist.
Bottle? What type of bottle?
Yeah, just a type of bottle.
I'm going to go an obvious connection. Bottles with labels. Labeled bottles.
It is not labelled bottles.
Oh.
I imagine they do have labels on them, but that's not the defining point of them.
Yeah.
It's.
I'm just trying to think.
Actually, yeah. I'll let you have a guess, Martin. And then I'll give it.
Cool. I'm trying to think of what different types of bottles there are. Okay, I've got something in mind. Medicine bottles.
It's not medicine bottles. It is basically, it's what the bottles contain.
Yeah, sure.
I'll say that.
Is it wine bottles?
It's not wine bottles, no.
Okay.
See, I think it's going to be some kind of drink. So I'm thinking, what's a notorious kind of drink that people would choose? So I'm going to go for whiskey bottles.
It's not whiskey bottles, no.
Beer bottles?
Oh, Martin,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is beer bottles.
I'm sorry, Martin.
Yeah.
Why would you collect beer bottles?
Beer bottles are not the most exciting thing.
No.
Yeah.
Well, some are great, but surely you just the amount of them that you'd have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Question 3. 2-0 to Robin. In car manufacturing, what does BMW stand for in English?
Oh, no idea. Not big on that kind of thing. In English as well.
Okay.
Go on then, Robin.
Go for it.
Big manufacturer of vehicles.
It's not. No. Yeah. I don't even know how to give you guys a clue on this one. I mean,
No.
it's an area of one of the letters, I guess. Oh, so I give you
Bavaria.
Oh, maybe buzz in and have a guess. I don't know.
Okay. Is Bavarian?
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
motor.
that's a good one.
Maybe
Company.
BMW.
Oh, was the W? What would W stand for?
I'm going to give it to you, Martin, because you got two of the words, and
Motor.
That's all right.
I frankly want Robin to lose. It's
What is the W?
it's Bavarian Motor Works.
Works,
okay.
Right.
There you go.
So actually, it could be very similar in German, couldn't it? It could be like
I
Bavarische
can tell you the German if you want.
Yeah,
It's
what is it?
Bayerisch Motorenwerk. Yeah,
That's pretty close.
There you
Yeah, okay.
but
Again, I'm surprised I didn't know that before, to be honest, because it's so common, isn't it?
I like VW.
Well, exactly,
Everyone
that
knows
was
what
my
VW
thinking.
stands
I'd
for.
never-
Just never thought of it.
Well done. That was good work, Martin. That was good detective work.
I think that was Robin. I don't know if there's some delay on your end, Martin. I'm very sorry for that.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, it's just a shot in the dark. So I'll just say Salisbury.
Do you say Salisbury?
I did.
That is incorrect.
There you go.
Martin, did you want to have a guess?
Yeah, my first thought was Lincoln.
That's a good guess, but also incorrect.
York.
It is not York. Not York Cathedral.
St Paul's.
It is St. Paul's.
Oh, really? Nice.
It's St. Paul's
Nice.
Cathedral. Yeah. Don't have any stats on how big it is, but I imagine it's pretty big.
And
I
the
can
bell?
Google it. Nice.
Hey.
Okay.
I'm just thinking St Paul's. The dome is
It
so
is pretty
massive,
big,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
That's made me think
Let's
of.
find
Whereas
it. Let's
my
find
first
this
guess,
out.
Lincoln's quite narrow. The towers.
Yeah, they are quite. I mean, you don't.
Yeah.
A bell doesn't have to be that big to be heavy necessarily. You know.
Oh, true. Actually, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Was it heaviest or was it biggest?
It was heaviest,
Heaviest, yeah.
yeah.
Heaviest. Okay. Yeah.
Good
Anyway,
knowledge.
I'll find that out,
It's getting-
and we'll go on to question.
Getting
Go on to
tight.
question.
Getting tight.
Yeah, 2-2. Question 5. The Singapura is one of the smallest breeds of which animal?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, I think Martin was
Martin,
right.
yeah.
I'm going to go for dog.
It is not dog.
Oh, okay. I'm going to change my guess to cat.
It is cat.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah, it's one of the two.
Oh,
Those
I'm sorry,
really,
Martin.
really
When
tiny
you,
ones.
When you said, yeah,
Yeah.
the world's smallest.
All right, fine.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Martin.
It's all right. I got it wrong.
I'm just trying. I'm rooting for you. I'm shamelessly rooting for
there
you in
is-
this competition.
Well, that's very kind.
Someone needs to beat
But
Robin.
I'm just not good enough.
No, you're,
Okay.
I won't, it's 3-2. You can definitely get this back easily.
It's 3-2.
Easily.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
plenty of questions left.
Okay, question 6. Which is the only sign of the zodiac represented by an object rather than a person or animal?
Oh,
Oh, I
I think that was
Martin
Martin.
in there
That was
first.
Martin. Yeah.
what's it? Pisces.
It is not Pisces. No, Pisces is a fish, isn't it?
Fish. Yeah, I couldn't think.
Libra.
Oh, it is Libra. I can't.
Is that the scales?
Yeah, I think so.
Exactly. Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking of, but I just couldn't think of what it was because I think it's just
It's hard to remember
Yeah.
all the names
I
of
don't really go
the
in for
signs
that.
of the zodiac, isn't it?
I don't even know which one I am.
What? You don't know which one you are?
Ah, Martin.
No, October. What's that? Mid-October.
Is that
Is it?
Cancer?
Oh.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. That's the issue.
Martin, that's
Okay.
Libra. You are Libra.
See, I just never looked it up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go. Now I know.
Well, actually, I think it's October
17th.
1st to October 22nd are members of the Libra sign. So yeah, you are
Yes.
Libra.
Oh,
That's me. Okay, good to know. Good to know.
dear, oh dear.
Okay, so what's that now? 4-2 is it or 3-2?
4-2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
4-2.
Question 7. Zorro is Spanish for which animal? Oh, Robin.
Fox.
It is. It's a fox. Did you just know that?
Yeah, I did because I like Zorro. So
Fair enough.
as a
Zorro.
kid, loved
Fair enough.
the Mark of Zorro and the Mask of Zorro. Loved them.
Yeah. The legend as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Legend of Zorro.
They're not that bad sequel actually, but also not good.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it could have been worse.
Okay. 5-2.
Okay.
And as we go on to question
Oh,
8,
dear. Well, that's
Martin,
it.
this is your last chance
I
to
don't
bring
need
it
them all.
back.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Which is the longest river in New Mexico and runs through the entire length of the state?
Longest river in New Mexico.
In New Mexico, yeah.
I don't know. Mississippi. Don't know.
Oh no, it's not Mississippi.
I know.
Is it the Colorado River?
It's not the Colorado River. So in English, the name translates to the Big River.
Oh,
Go on then, Robin.
Rio Grande.
It's the Rio Grande.
yeah.
Oh,
2 Spanish questions. What is going on?
I think that second one was New
Definitely
Mexican, actually, Martin.
that's true. I didn't even. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Martin.
It's fine, but it certainly didn't look like a quiz that was designed at beating Robin. Let's be honest. 10 Six Nations top 10 Six Nations moments, and we've won, Alex. We have won.
You would definitely have won with that. Yeah.
No. Oh, we've still got questions to go, haven't we?
Yeah.
I was about to say well done, but well done anyway.
You can
but
get
we've
this
got
back.
questions to
You can
go.
get this back.
No, he can't, Robin.
No,
That's
I officially
done.
can't.
Okay.
okay.
Sorry.
6-2. Question 9. Which of these rugby union teams? No, I'm sorry. What is the largest city in Africa by population?
Oh, no idea. Trying to think of cities. It's going to be. So it's the biggest city in terms of population. That was the question, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be presumably a big country, rather than one of the
Yes.
small countries.
Bigger guess.
So Johannesburg.
It's not Johannesburg.
Cape Town.
It's not Cape Town. So I give you a guess?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
yeah.
a clue rather. Some pretty notable tourist attractions nearby.
Oh,
Go on then, Robin.
is it Cairo?
It is Cairo, yes.
Oh,
In
really?
Egypt.
Okay. Yeah.
With a
yeah.
population of 19.5 million.
19.
19.5 million from as of October 2018. So yeah,
Is that
quite a lot of people.
That's more than New York, right?
More than New York. Let's find out.
Yeah. I had no idea Cairo was anywhere near that big. To be honest, I'm surprised it was the answer to that question, but let alone.
Yeah,
19.
as of 2017, New York City has 8.6 million people, so massively
Twice the size of New
fewer.
York. My word.
Wow.
Mad.
That's
Wow, I didn't know it was
incredible.
that big.
Okay, question 10. Russian doctor Ivan Pavlov was known for his experiments on which animal?
I'll let Martin have this one.
I'm going to go for chimpanzees.
Oh no, it's not chimpanzees, I'm afraid.
They're mice.
It's not mice.
Shall I go? Or Martin, do you want another guess?
No, go for it. No, go
Dogs.
for it. I don't know.
It is dogs, yeah. Yeah, Pavlov's dogs.
Yeah, Pavlovian
But it's
response.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do not know about that.
Oh, that's an interesting. It's interesting to look up.
Yeah.
Just
maybe we'll
just
cover it
interesting, you
sometime.
might say.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Pavlov's dogs. Okay.
yeah. Anyway, well done, Robin.
Pavlov.
Do you feel good about yourself now?
For some strange reason, I don't. I feel like this was not the popular result from this.
It will be amongst the audience, don't worry.
No, it won't be. Although I'm interested to know what they got. So please tell us your scores in the comments.
Yes.
Did you get
Classical conditioning.
Did you beat Robin
Yeah.
with the score?
Yeah.
That's the big question. Maybe that's who we need to pit you against next time.
The audience.
Our audience. We're going to change
Yeah.
the format of our quiz to be more like the chase, and you're the chaser, Robin.
I'll definitely lose. I'm nowhere near that clever.
We've made it the weakest link, and you're Anne Robinson. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for that quiz, Alex. And I'm going to look up the Pavlov's dogs after
Yeah,
this.
we know
That's
what
good.
Martin's interesting story for next
Look
week
at
will
that.
be.
Exactly.
But thank you. That was a great quiz. Genuinely, not just because the
It was.
result was satisfying for me, but it was a genuinely great quiz. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations on your victory, and thanks everyone for listening in and supporting us on Patreon. If you do support us on Patreon,
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And
I mean, in fact, we're going over there right after this, aren't we? And we're going to look at a story about NASA and a Mars lander.
Ooh.
So,
Sounds-
so if
that sounds
you're
really
interested
good.
in that,
Yeah.
then
Let's
do
do
join
it.
us.
sounds
over.
intriguing. Cool. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining me today
Cool.
in our remote isolation period. Hopefully, we'll be able to rejoin each other at some point with a wall behind us. But yeah, it was great to chat with you, and I'll chat with you in a few minutes.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Bye for
See you
now.
later, guys.
Bye.